Today on the Travel Magazine, we will take you to the Falkland Islands, explore its history, and take a look at the War of 1982. Stanley, the capital, is closely knit to the great sailing ships which rounded Cape Horn centuries ago. But first, it's carnival time in Rio. This city has become the hotspot for travelers with its stunning beaches, colorful inhabitants, spectacular architecture, and unequaled views from above. Around 500 years ago, the first Europeans discovered Guanabara Bay. They were explorers who thought they found the mouth to a great river. The year was January the 1st, 1502. Hi, I'm Jake de Boer.
And I'm Nieke de Boer, and welcome to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Join us as we explore this vibrant and cosmopolitan city with its statue of the Redeemer dominating the skyline, Sugarloaf Mountain guarding the entrance to the bay. Join us as we explore over 50 miles of beaches and the opening to the world-famous carnival in Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro has become one of South America's most popular destinations with a class all its own.
The Christ statue is a landmark of the city, and from up there you have a wonderful overview of the city where you can see the lagoon, the beaches, the forest, and you can see all the buildings. You can have an idea of what the mix the city is. The statue is 30 meters high. It was created by a French sculptor and architect. And it came to Brazil and was mounted here and put on top of the mountain. It was constructed there. The Corcovado is the name of the mountain, and the Christ the Redeemer is the name of the statue. You know that Brazil is a Catholic country, and so the idea was to have Christ blessing the city with his open arms. And we say that the Christ is welcoming the tourists that come to Rio. The Sugarloaf Mountain is located in the Guanabara Bay. This is where the Portuguese people arrived in the 16th century. And what's beautiful in the Sugarloaf is that you can go up there and see one of the most beautiful views of the city. You go in a cable car and you stay up there and you see the Guanabara Bay and you see all the main attractions of the city from up there.
The beaches, especially Copacabana, have become world famous, not only as a backdrop, but also for their beautiful white sand.
The beaches are very nice because most of the Cariocas, the natives of Rio, do everything on the beach. It's very popular in Rio to use surfer boards, and still you have sports on the sands like volleyball, football, and what we call beach tennis too.
Tempting as they are, These magnificent beaches are not the only reason to visit Rio de Janeiro. When you explore downtown Rio, you will discover the beating heart of this metropolis. Historic buildings, churches and monuments dating from the 16th century sit side by side in harmony with modern architecture. Rio was for centuries the political center of Brazil. In fact, in 1808, the Portuguese court came to Rio, the first and only time a European country was ruled from the Americas. Rio remains Brazil's culture and tourism capital, but in 1960, the seat of government moved inland.
Jake, I always thought that Rio de Janeiro was the capital of Brazil.
No, it's Brasilia that is the capital, but prior to that, Rio de Janeiro was the capital, but because a lot of the people from the country lived around Rio, that's why they moved the capital, or one of the reasons why they moved the capital inland. So how do you like the city? It's our first time to South America.
You know what? I love it here, and I'm amazed at the statistics of people. How many people living?
Well, 8 million people in the larger Rio area, and Rio de Janeiro itself has 5 million people. But you know what I love is the beaches, the different facilities they have, the climate. I mean, this is the month of February, it's warm, but it's beautiful.
And it is a very colorful city.
Hey, how do you like that?
For carnival?
Now,
time?
isn't that beautiful
Is it
for
matching?
carnival?
Is it matching?
It almost matches, yes.
Oh,
That's a beautiful
I should
hat.
put this quickly away here.
Yes.
Eh? Whoop. Nobody should
Can
see
we just
this.
see this hat?
We will be back with more of the Travel Magazine just after this, so stay with us.
When we return, we'll visit the world-famous botanical gardens of Roberto Burle Marx. And enjoy the well-known Rio Carnival. A short excursion from Rio takes you to a world of sheer peace and beauty.
So Sue, tell me, we are here and it feels for me like the Garden of Eden.
Right, we have some plants here that were just going to be away from Earth because Roberto really preserved them for the next generations. They are very precious and rare, and Brazil is very proud to have this situ as a natural and cultural property.
Tell me about Roberto.
Everybody that knew him knew that he was a genius. He was a very complete artist. He painted very well. He also could sing very well, and he was a very fascinating personality.
Is there a saying that he painted with plants?
Some people say that his gardens are really paintings with plants and flowers.
And he started at the age of 7 to collect different kinds of plants?
Right, he wanted to do just like his mother. She collected roses, and then he started to have his own collection of plants.
This is 100 acres of wonderful plants. How many species?
We have 3,500 species of plants and 250 species of palm trees. And this is the most important collection of palm trees in Brazil.
In the midst of these beautiful gardens, surrounded by palm trees, is a quaint little chapel where Mass is celebrated every Sunday as it has been for 3 centuries.
Jake, I have to tell you, I really enjoyed this botanical gardens. And you know, it is something, we have seen many botanical gardens, but this man, Roberto, he has collected 3,500 different kinds of species. And the palm trees, 240 different kinds of species. And that is an incredible amount.
You know, this chapel is over 300 years old. That means people have been worshiping here Sunday mornings for 300 years. In fact, today, people from the surrounding area, from Garanchiba, they come here on Sunday mornings and celebrate Mass. I had no idea that from the busyness of Rio, only 15, 20 minutes away, you have these botanical gardens. I'm just really impressed. Rio is a city of contrasts waiting to be discovered. And though you'll find modern office blocks and air-conditioned shopping malls, traditional street markets still have their place here.
Buffalo.
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 Lá de Buffalo.
From Rio de Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah. This is an ideal handbag for me, you know. Let me see inside.
I'll hold your camera, Mike.
Yeah. I have to smell. Yeah, it's leather.
Leather.
Yeah.
How much money?
Money, peraí, show.
No, you can show with your hand.
Ó,
10.
20, 30, 45.
Oh, 45.
45.
45.
Oh, that is very good.
But Mika, you're supposed to bargain.
Oh, yeah, but they will.
Do you like that?
Yeah, for real buffalo.
Okay, you know what we should do? I think we should walk
Yeah.
along.
We
We'll
just
talk
walk.
about it. We just go there and we come back. We just...
Yeah,
okay.
but I like this very much.
Okay.
But it's from South America.
From
South
Brazil.
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 Okay.
Hey, Carnival, eh? Carnival tonight. Are you
Vai
dancing?
dançar? Vai
What are you
dançar?
gonna do? Show me.
Não sou muito boa, não.
Tonight.
Yeah, you have to learn it. And we have to do
What do you
this
do?
soon.
Tá bom.
The carnival is maybe the major theme festival in the world. It started in the last century because 40 days before the Catholic Holy Week, the slaves, at that time we still had slaves, the slaves could have their own festival and manifestation. So in the beginning of this century, people started getting together to sing and dance. And as samba was a typical music of City of Rio, everything started from there. And nowadays it became a very big party. It takes 3 days and everybody wants to come to Rio to see it. Every year we have a competition to select this king. First of all, he has to be fat, and he has to dance the samba and has to be able to sing. So he goes into a competition with other men, and the best of them wins and is the king of carnival. The king for carnival has the key of the city during these 3 days. The mayor of the city gives him the key for these days, so the carnival is installed.
Visit Rio at Carnival, and you too may shake hands with the king. When we return, we will take you to the far reaches of the earth, the Falkland Islands. Located just 1,000 miles from Antarctica, 8,000 miles from Great Britain, and 400 miles from South America, the remote Falkland Islands are truly a world by themselves. You know, John, I've been looking forward to see the Falkland Islands, and I've been doing a lot of reading on it. And I know that there are all kinds of versions as to who discovered the Falkland Islands, but I understand it was a Dutch captain, Captain de Weert, and he named them after himself.
I think we may have to ask you to rewrite history a little bit, Jake, because we believe that Captain John Davis, an Englishman, discovered the islands in 1592.
I don't think we should get into a discussion on this.
No, we'll mutually agree on this one, I think. You can have one, I can have one.
Okay, that's fine.
You know, we're a small, faraway place, and we seem to be caught up in all sorts of history, from discovery through to world wars, and of course we've got our political history as well.
Why the war? What happened?
I think that the Argentines have always had a nationalistic pride in wanting to have the Falkland Islands, and in 1982 we were a very good excuse for Argentina to get out of its political and economic shambles at that time, to direct the attention of the country towards the Falklands, and for a while the country was united. And in a paradoxical way, that war was beneficial to both sides, in as much as that it gave us protection and security, and for the first time in many years it gave Argentina democracy. But it was tragic to think that so many people had to give their lives in order to achieve this. And to live here at that time was very difficult, because when the Argentines invaded, they imagined that we would be fellow countrymen with some sort of a Latin affinity, but of course there's nothing Latin about the place at all. And then as the task force landed, we became the enemies of Argentina, and we were people living under occupation with a 20th century war going on just outside our windows. Here are we, a remote community with Exocets, Sidewinders, Mirage fighters, Harriers, all the latest technology of the 20th century happening here in the Falklands. It was very hard to adjust to it. We've got to treat 1982 quite sensitively at the moment, because although 16 years on, the memories are still very fresh with some people who live here, and sometimes a circumstance of weather or noise brings a whole lot of memories back again. So really we've got to wait until a generation of people move on before we can expand on that, but there's more to the Falklands than a war and sheep farming.
What's it like to live here today?
Today it's very good, because we must be the most rapidly expanding or developing community in the world. And we've so much going on. We've got a fishing industry underway, we've got the oil industry about to happen in just a few weeks' time. We've got security by virtue of the British garrison here. So as a community, we're very well looked after. It was named after the Earl of Pembroke, round about 1700, and we've always had a lighthouse there for the last, say, 150 years. And it was a very dangerous headland for shipping. It was also the only landmark, or lit landmark, which ships passing the Falklands had, both up until the turn of the century, coming down from Europe to round Cape Horn and coming up from Cape Horn. So in either direction, ships' captains were probably very relieved to actually see that lighthouse. At least they knew where they were.
Natural beauty abounds on these islands, and a short trip from Stanley brings you face to face with a colony of jackass penguins. They arrive in September and leave early April. The chicks are born and reared here throughout the southern summer months. Although the history of the Falklands is filled with controversy, today these islands, far from the beaten path, are a place of serene beauty. Well, that's it for this edition of the Travel Magazine. Join us again as we travel the world.